Russia is cautioning against jumping to what it calls hypotheses about what caused the Azerbaijan Airlines crash in Kazakhstan. Several sources with knowledge of a probe now underway say the plane was hit by shrapnel from a Russian surface-to-air missile. The passenger jet was headed from Baku in Azerbaijan to the Russian city of Grozny. However, it turned east and crossed the Caspian Sea, crashing a few kilometers from Aktau airport in Kazakhstan. At least 38 people were killed in the crash. 29 others survived. Authorities say they've recovered the plane's black box, and a British aviation security firm, Osprey Solutions, also says that the plane was probably shot down. Let's get across to Andreas Speth, an aviation journalist based in Hamburg, for more on this story. Speculation has been mounting about the cause of this crash. What do you think has happened here?
Yeah, at least we have unbelievably much evidence in terms of all these videos circulating in social media, which is highly unusual, even a video from inside the cabin during the flight. And of course, these very well-spread videos now of the shrapnel-like holes on the tail of the aircraft that crashed in Aktau. But all this video footage at least makes it very clear that this was not a normal aviation accident. So it's very clear that there was some outside interference in a kind of a violent way. It's absolutely impossible to say who should what at whom in this case, but it's fairly obvious also, especially from the videos that were taken by passengers inside the aircraft cabin of the still flying aircraft, where we can see holes in the fuselage. We see somebody holding up a hole in a life vest, somebody is bleeding. So there's obviously interference before the actual crash. So it's very obvious this aircraft was hit in some way by something. If this is kind of a collateral damage of some other activity and the aircraft happened to be nearby at the wrong place in the wrong moment, or if somebody directed something at the aircraft itself for whatever purpose, that's totally unclear right now.
And do you think there will be a transparent investigation into what has happened? Would international bodies, for example, get involved under circumstances like these?
I think we have to doubt it's possible, really, to do kind of a non-biased process here, because of course there's highly political tension in this area, and there's some warring factions involved, and countries, big countries, and there are strategic interests. Of course, by the name of law, it's definitely a prerequisite that every party that is involved in some way, also through the aircraft itself, is part of the investigation process. So it's obvious that Brazil has to be a party as the aircraft manufacturer in Brazil. There's Western manufacturers of the engines. So all these countries, or the representatives of this company, will definitely by law be part of this process. But how neutral this whole thing will be conducted, actually who will conduct it in the end, and how many sources will be openly shared, that's a totally different question I'm really unable to answer right now.
And it's, of course, very early days, but perhaps we could just try to tease this out a little bit more. I mean, as we've said, there have been survivors on board. What does that very fact alone tell you about the way that the plane came down?
Yeah, unusually, we actually can even watch as often as we want how the plane came down, because there's ample footage of videos, surprisingly, even pinpointing the circling of the aircraft near Aktau, a few minutes even before it actually crashed in the end. So we can definitely see this aircraft was not shot down in any way, because it was still flyable. It was still even maneuverable, although it's obvious that the pilots lost many of their usual controls. They probably had to control by shifting engine power rather than having their usual flaps and ailerons and rudders available. But this aircraft did not fall out of the sky. It was not shot down. It was harmed. It was damaged, and the pilots were fighting to get it down somehow safely. The landing, which turned out to be a crash landing we are seeing in the videos, definitely shows that they almost succeeded. And only at the very end, when the aircraft actually hit the ground, still a kind of a planned angle.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your insights there. We really appreciate your time today. That was aviation journalist Andreas Speth.
Thank you.